Hi everybody, I am live on Instagram and I'm here today. I'm starting to do this every month, and last month I was with my collaborator, editor, videographer, Ashley Bickford, and so you can still watch that. There's a few little oh, there's Carolyn! Yay, I'm waving to Carolyn. I'll bring you on in a second. So today I am chatting with one of my very longtime clients and friends, and we have been working together for a very long time. I think it's like 15 years, something like that. So today we're talking, I'm looking at my notes right there. That's what I'm doing. We're talking about the collaborative and creative process today. So for those of you who don't know, I am Nel Shelby, and I'm the owner of Nel Shelby Productions. And soon I'm going to bring on Carolyn Dorfman of Carolyn Dorfman Dance. Carolyn is an incredible choreographer, an incredible mover, and I'm just always amazed at how she puts her work together, and she just keeps creating and creating and creating and creating, and it's very impressive. She's going to join me and discuss about editing video. So when we think about video on our team, we think about it in 4 different stages. So number 1 is creative development. When we're just talking and everything with a client, or even just talking internally with our team about a project. And then pre-production, where we're just getting going and organizing and planning and getting all the logistics and everything in place. And then production, which we're on site filming, we are making it all happen. And then post-production, which is the editing process. So a lot of and hi to everybody who just joined, hello. And so a lot of times our clients come to us in stage 2, which is like the pre-production, and honestly a lot of times come very quickly before the show happens, which is totally fine, and we've set ourselves up. We'd love to have more time, but we make it work because we know that sometimes you're so focused on making the work that it's hard to remember about the filming. We do love to be very involved up front and feel that sometimes the product can come out even better when we have more of an understanding of really how we want to use the video, or how you want to use the video, and what your goals are. And then we can decide things like how many cameras, which Carolyn and I have had years of how many cameras should we do for this show, and where should we put the cameras, and all the things that we'll talk about in a second. And then also talking about, should we live stream your show? So I'm going to add in Carolyn, and guess what? I'm going to pretend like I know what I'm doing, like I do every time. So let's see if I can, let's see. Okay. We're going to try to add her. Okay. So I think Carolyn has to request to join. So Carolyn, if you can request, maybe I can figure out. Oh, here I did. So we'll just do a little I'll just vamp as, oh, here she comes. Yay!
We did it.
Oh my gosh, that's the most nerve-wracking part, is inviting someone to the Instagram Live.
And also setting it up, and I was just in another space literally 1 minute ago, and someone said, you can't do that here. I went, okay. So
oh no.
one of my things that I did during COVID, I feel like I'm in a closet somewhere, but while the company's in rehearsal, I'm good. I'm very, very happy to talk to you.
I'm so happy to see you. I'm so glad. I'm so glad that you made it. And so we can just chat for a little bit, because I know that you're busy. Are you rehearsing right now? Are you in the studio rehearsing?
Well, yes, they are. And I'm here with you, and I'm always happy here with you. And we've been together a long time, probably a little longer than 15 years, but
I think so too. I know, because I actually remember, and this kind of dates it, I think I had a membership at Equinox, which who knows how I could even afford that back then. But I had a membership at Equinox, and I remember they had the little computer stands where you could get on the computer, because it's not like we are these days. And I checked my email really quickly before a workout, and that's when I got an email from Tom Werder, right? Did I say that right? Yeah, who was your executive director at the time, and he said, "Can you film Carolyn's show?" And remember being excited. So it's funny how I like remember that exact moment of when he asked me.
Relay that. I still see him periodically, so it's lovely.
Oh, that's so great. Well, okay, Carolyn, I'm looking at the time because I know that I don't want to like keep you forever, but so do you want to, if you can just tell everyone a little bit about you and your work, which I know is extremely vast, and you're celebrating
Our
40
That's
years.
preparing for
Yeah.
that performance on April 13th and 15th. It's both it's called Dance on Exhibit. It's both in the museum at the Morris Museum in Morristown, New Jersey, as well as on stage. So it's a two-part performance those evenings. And yeah, it's really, for the first time in my life, actually doing somewhat of a retrospective kind of thematic. But my work is about creating worlds, and I think that's I'm looking for, the unique environment movement world of that I'm trying to create, that I'm trying to speak about. And I think that's in a way what I bring to the video editing process. Um, but so I think that's why it's a continuation. Like anytime, whether I'm on site somewhere, I'm setting a work, I'm redoing it in a different theater, or I'm doing it in kind of an alternative space, or I'm doing it in a museum, all the facets have to come together to sort of support the work and the writing. And the video is another aspect of that. It's not just an archive of the work. It needs to bring the viewer into the experience of the work.
Yeah. Let's talk about that. Well, first, before like we go really deep into that, so you've been making work for 40 years. Your company has been around for 40 years, which is a huge, I mean, this is huge for dancers, for the dance world, for a dance company in general. And then you really like are celebrated in New Jersey. I feel like you've really like you're so well known everywhere, but you're so well known. I feel like that state really supports you.
I developed my work here. I mean, I've been working in New York and New Jersey simultaneously. In some ways, I was very lucky to be here because I was able to get funding to support artists here. I was able to, from the really of my time here, whether it was through fellowships or whether it was through major institutional grants, I was here at a very good time of development for the arts. And so I was able to garner, most of my dancers, most of the time had lived in New York, and we rehearsed in New York, we still do. Now we're actually splitting our time. Post-COVID sort of changed some things for us and opened up opportunities here. But yeah, we've been sort of we've been a statewide kind of, at the sort of top of that dance world, but also very much aligned with the New York world and touring nationally and internationally. So it's and I think that what dancers appreciate about the work is its range. That there's range from not sort of I always say that in terms of when I'm working on more abstract work, I'm looking for the human context. When I'm working on more narrative or storytelling, I'm looking for the abstraction. And for me, creating is a dialogue with my dancers. So what's beautiful about, and what's made me think about this in the 40th anniversary is really, it's about the people who've made this company. And I mean the collaborating artists, staff, the board, everybody who's committed themselves to, and of course the audience, but the growth of this company and the indelible mark they leave on it. I was talking to I'd spoken with who danced with me in the 80s, and I said, we watch you, like we reconstruct from you. We talk about things that you say. Like I think dancers think they're gone and forgotten, and actually present in the work, and I really honor the people whose shoulders we stand on, and it's Carolyn Dorfman dance, but it's the people who create that. So,
but you create that, Carolyn. You make such a great environment. I remember you telling me that, your dancers stay. Like Jackie, for example, we were talking about it at your last show, that she's been with you for so long, and now she's the associate artistic director, right? And
the associate artistic director for even while she was dancing. That's true. But Jackie's in her 22nd year with the company. Caitlin and Ray, it's their 12th season, and it's just not unusual for dancers to stay with me, because I think they continue to grow. They grow, they perform, they get to expand their own creative potential. They also learn about, they become, superb teaching artists. They really, hone their craft in terms of all those things. So it's, yeah, it's, I think, I remember many, many, many years ago, Nina Watts said to me, gosh, this was a long time ago. I'd almost just started. And she, I met her right before, because we did Lamone's Concerto Grosso very early in my company's career.
Oh, okay.
And she was setting it, and she said, oh, you're Carolyn Dorfman. And she said, people love working for you.
Yeah. No, I hear that too. Yeah.
And
That's so wonderful.
If I hear that, I mean, that they're fulfilled by the environment, because it is a human-centric environment. I mean, as a human-centric, not to get rid of the environment, but it's really about humanism. It's really about the process. For me, is as important as the product. It has been. It's why I love working with you now.
Yeah. That's why I feel same with you too. And so maybe let's dive in. I know we could talk forever about your work as well, and our loving relationship, which is is true for sure. But here, wait, I'm just looking at my questions because I wanted to just ask you a few things. So can you just talk about, I think it's such a basic question, but it's interesting to know, just as a choreographer, as an artistic director, what does video mean to you? Earlier you said the video is important as well, but what, when you're thinking about your 40th anniversary coming up, why do you need video? What's the important part about video? What are your different goals for choosing to film?
Well, video serves many purposes. I think originally we unless you had really huge, sort of production budgets, video was really archival, or to share with your work. And, and there was usually, it was kind of a wide shot, so you could see everything and you could show your choreography. And so there is this archival component, which is why there's always going to be a wide shot, right? And then there's this edited component, which takes the viewer on a journey, whether that's a presenter, whether that's an audience, it's a TV audience. It also highlights the details. And because I have a repertory company, and because I've been around for 40 years, I will have 4 to 8 versions, performances. They've only that time, but different casts that are doing, and sometimes it's the same cast in 3 performances of this work. Sometimes it's evolved. Sometimes dancers. Sometimes this one is quote cleaner in terms of musicality, but I always go back to the source. I always go back to the people who made the work. That's the first.
Interesting.
And if there was changes, and there inevitably are, I mean, I'm, thank God, a living choreographer, so dancers can get very precious about movement, but as different casts change, I need to make sure the essence of the work stays true, and sometimes that's changing something. It's not, it's a dynamic process performance. So for me, it chronicles those things, but I never have somebody start with the last performance, because then I'd be doing an adaptation of an adaptation. I'm going to, and if something literally changed choreographically, then I have to be aware of that, so that I go, this part changed, but I want you to watch the people who made the original movement in dialogue. So, video is sometimes, now, with both television, with COVID, with virtual, performances, where you can, I do a lot of lectures, I use video. So now it is really the entree to the work. So I think my view and my editing has changed over time. If I only have one shot, I mean, I use a technique with you that I don't think that, a lot of people use, which is overlays. If I want someone to see a close-up of something, but I want them to know what the whole stage is doing. And you have to be careful. Sometimes it can get, but if the concept is crazy, then the overlays make sense to create the world you're trying to do.
Do you want to, can we stop a second just to tell people what overlays are? So in Videoland, we call it cross dissolves. And then Carolyn is mainly just saying that you have, you're trying to see two shots at once. So you're seeing the wide shot, you're also seeing the close. So I feel like to me, that's a very, like in the 90s, I feel like people got super excited about cross dissolves.
Oh, I'm just
So I was calling.
old school. I didn't know. It's good.
Yeah, no, but I think that is a really good point. So you can keep going, but
No, it's
I just wanted
sort of the
people to know
first.
what that meant.
It wasn't like I do it because it's cool. I do it because it allows someone to see the work in a more authentic way. And not
Hmm.
authentically, you're seeing two things at once, but it allows for people to get a sense about the whole and its parts. That's really what's intriguing to me about it. Uh,
Yeah, yeah. I want to ask you just like, how do you make a choice of how many cameras? I mean, I know that well, I'll back up a second. I think the most, maybe we've done three. Well, I guess the recent show we just did at NJPAC, were we at NJPAC? Yeah.
yeah.
We brought a third camera to be on the musician. And that was like no one was behind the camera. And I know I've told you a million times I was like an operator to be behind a camera, but for this, we had a third to make sure we got the musician because they were in a different part of the theater. But how do you make a choice about how many cameras? And especially during COVID, like you shot that other piece with, I think, New Jersey Television or, where you had multi cameras.
So that was a piece that was being produced by SOPAC and the video team,
Hmm.
and so their budget and their choice, and so we, I'm saying, sometimes it
Yeah,
honestly
that was different.
budget, but it was different. There were still limitations about that I found kind of shocking, actually. Where they chose to put certain cameras, and
Hmm.
and so um, I think in a perfect world I would have three cameras.
Yeah.
Honestly, but sometimes it's really budget and. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's not like
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, yeah, there's lots of choices that we make. And sometimes it's, no, this piece must have it because there's an audience section in it, or we just know, and you and I,
Hmm.
that we need to really plan for how we're going to capture that.
Hmm.
Some so in
Yeah.
really the planning phase of it.
Yeah, because I would say, so since you feel like a big purpose of it is archival, what would you say that second close camera in your mind does for you?
Oh,
I
it's
mean, we'll talk about the edit in a second, but I'm curious what you think of that.
it's the details. It's the
Hmm.
essence. You get a close camera, literally you can see where somebody's hand goes on a shoulder. Is it over?
Hmm.
Is it under the arm? Literally with a complex lift or series of people doing something, you really can see how it unfolded. You
Hmm.
know, um, Slow it down, obviously, which is what we do, but sometimes just from the wide angle, you can't really see those details and parts. You can't really, and I think you grasp the emotions, you grasp the intention in a very different
Hmm.
camera um, than you do. So just from a strictly archival point of view, not just the fact that you're also making visually interesting and carrying
Yeah.
the work. I think those are the two reasons for the wide. The wide gives you the whole,
Hmm.
and close up really it's in the details. And for me, it's always in the details.
Yeah, which is like, I mean, I will just like name one of my and something I'm always working on, but especially I feel like you and I've had many conversations about the close because I think you like to go closer actually than most choreographers when there's two cameras. Like when there's a third, of course you're going to go closer. But sometimes you have a lot of dancers on the stage, so the videographer has to make choices of where the camera goes. So I know sometimes, to be honest, we've had those moments of like, oh, the closed camera was not on the right.
The close
I will
camera,
admit
just
it.
for a really long time, and we miss the upstage people, and so
Yeah,
and then it becomes a really interesting editing. So how do we not
right.
lose people, and how do we go back so that we're not just staying someplace a long time. And, but yeah, that's why a 3-camera is so much better.
I know. I have to admit, the 3-camera shoot to me is like the sweet spot, because then, you have your master or your wide shot, you have the close camera that can be next to it, and then that third camera can get like off to the side or something and can have that detail. But so you've recently edited, we've edited a lot together, but you've edited with a few people on my team, and then you recently edited with Caroline. And so I'm curious, like, I was over editing something else and I was listening to you all, and you sounded very excited and, passionate about it. So maybe we don't have that much more time. We can bring you on again, but maybe just talk about like what you're looking for in the edit. And yeah, I'd just love to hear more about that.
So in the edit process, I am looking for the visuals to both, which they do pretty well. Like if you're gonna make cuts to different things, that they're musical, that they have a relationship to movement, that there's. I think people do a quick flip to the next thing as almost a default, and it's something I don't want to see it unless the piece is really like that, and then all of that feeds the energy of the work. But if you're doing this very, to the John Whelan ballad from Pastoral Pause, and they're here and they go, what?
Yeah,
like, oy. Then there's
right.
those gentle fades, or those, they're not even like a crossfade, just a gentle. The timing of it is also musical, one to the other. So I'm looking for the edit to further the essence of the work.
I love that, to further the essence of the work. Okay.
I mean, that's what I'm looking for. And so when we capture it, you'll hear us go, yes, that's it, because we're excited about it, because we've struggled with the moment. And often those moments that you get really excited about is where maybe you didn't have exactly what you wanted, but then you made that fulfilled that anyway. So sometimes that excitement comes out of that, like making lemons out of, maybe lemonade.
Yeah.
So but to me, I'm really looking for, based on the footage, I mean, sometimes you got to edit and go, oh, he felt, that doesn't look good, right? Something happened there,
right.
Peak moment, he fell over, and so how do you cut and crossfade to something and come back? And, there's just realities of life. We're humans. But so I think that's really what I'm looking for. And I think when even the people that I've worked with you, the last 2 people in particular, Jessica and Caroline, had a real sense of that. And when they would see what I would do and I would talk about it, they'd go, okay, I get it. Let me do the next.
Yeah.
Now I understand where you're heading to. And they, then Caroline said, I learned so much from working with you, which.
Right. Yeah, I know, which is, I think that's one of my favorite things. I mean, I feel like I often say to my team, like, oh, this is, Carolyn loves this, or I learned this from Carolyn, or, I learned about my wide shot from Faye Driscoll. She had like a big, I feel like there are moments, that's what we learned so much from you all, because I mean, we're doing it for you. So we have to know really what's important to you and what works for you. And I love to hear the nuances. Yeah.
Same craft element. I mean, basically, we're choreographers. We're designing with the elements that we're given. I mean, that's what it is. I think that's why we're all different a little bit in what we want from video, because our work is different. And
right, exactly. It's so true. Well, I could talk to you forever, Carolyn. I feel like we just like touched the surface, because I just love to hear. Sometimes we don't even have the opportunity, even though we've worked together so much, sometimes we don't have the opportunity to like really talk more about like what it means to film your work, which I think is so interesting. Because I will say some people just go like, oh, that looks good. Thank you for the 2-camera edit. And then some people like you, and I can name a million other people that, really want to into the edit with us. And I love that you do that. It shows that you care for sure about your work. So
yeah. about the work we do together. I think that's what collaboration really is. When you go somewhere you couldn't go alone. That's how I feel about it with my dancers, with all the the composers, the writers, all the designers that I work with. I mean, if I just tell you what to do and that's it, I don't learn if there isn't some reciprocal response and conversation that brings us to something that neither of us could have gotten to alone.
Yeah.
It's less. So.
I agree. I agree. Well, listen, I'm going to just, okay, I'm going to say goodbye to you so you can go back to rehearsal and then I'll finish this up. Thank you so much. I love working with you and I can't wait to film your 40th anniversary and I'll probably need to call you about it soon anyway. So,
all right, I know.
We'll talk.
I have forms to fill out. I know. I'll get to them.
You'll do it. You'll do it. All right. We'll say hi to everybody, all your dancers, and thank you so much. Yeah. And thanks everyone else. I don't even know. You might have to stay on here with me. I have no idea. Maybe I'll just finish.
Okay.
Thanks everyone else for joining, and you can watch this later and let us know if you have any questions. And everyone, please make sure you check out Carolyn Dorfman's work. It's beautiful and amazing, and I continue to get so much out of it. All right. I'll say goodbye. See you later.